Well. Who would have guessed that losing a 50 goal per season player would have such an effect on Real Madrid? A lot of people guessed that, to be honest, and we'll talk about that later in the video. But hey, welcome! Here we are again in 2019 with the weekend recaps where typically we look at the top 4 leagues and add a bonus league in there as well. But given that things are still a little messed up as far as competitions go, there's a lot of leagues still on holiday, we'll be taking bits and pieces from all over the place. League play, cup play, etc. One thing that doesn't change in 2019 is that the weekend recap is made possible thanks to the good people at OneFootball, the best football app in the game. With customizable news feeds, highlights, live match tickers, breaking news, predictors, and so much more. Hit up the link in the description for a free download available on both iOS, and Android. I always read it as iOS for some reason, so then in my head it's just become iOS. But anyways, let's start with Benfica in particular and Portugal in general because there's a couple of things you need to know about. Well, Benfica finally sacked Rui Vitória, maybe about a year too late, but hey, I'm just happy that it finally happened. He almost lost his job in November as well when emergency meetings were held between all the big wigs at the club, but he managed to hang on, got a huge win against Braga, which put him in, the big wigs' favor, and then he floundered some more, the culmination of which being a 2-0 loss to Portimonense thanks to 2 own goals, thank you Jardel and Ruben Dias, very cool, a red card, and Benfica 7 points adrift. There's talent, good young talent at this club, and Vitoria's inability to harness that, his seemingly endless amount of head-scratching tactical decisions, not to mention his benching of players that deserve to be on the pitch, in my opinion, such as Zivkovic and João Felix, he just proved himself completely incapable and rode off of the coattails or the solid foundation that Jorge Jesus had left. So in Benfica's first match under caretaker manager Bruno Lage, they switched to a 4-4-2 formation and found themselves 2-0 down after 20 minutes. But then the front two of João Felix and Seferovic took over, scoring a brace each to win 4-2. Seferovic, I haven't seen him move like that in ages. Benfica didn't look great besides in the attack, of course, and it's by no means a final product. A switch to 4-4-2 isn't enough, so there's more work to be done. But if Bruno Lage continues to give chances to players like Felix, and if he continues to play this brand of attacking football and finds a way to improve the defense, then this will be an enjoyable team to watch again. A title-winning team? Not yet, but there's enough talent to do so, though again, we need an improved defense, big time. That should be the number 1 priority on the list because in the attack, they looked great. Elsewhere in Portugal, there's not much to talk about as far as the title race goes. Braga got a 1-0 win at home to Boa Vista, so they overtook Benfica in second place, temporarily, 3 points behind Porto. But that can all change on Monday as Sporting, well today I guess, as Sporting and Porto play against Tondela and Nacional respectively. Actually, Sporting and Porto play against each other next weekend, which will be a great match. And by the way, I think the 2 sets of fans that were the saddest to see Rui Vitória go were Sporting and Porto fans. I'm sorry, you guys, but he had to go. He was giving you guys too much pleasure. All right, let's hit the FA Cup where things got started off on a rather rude note on Friday as Tottenham beat up on Tranmere 7-0. 7-0 to the face of the other Liverpool side. Serge Aurier scored a brace. Yes, Aurier, one of which was a stonker from outside the box. Llorente scored a hat-trick, meaning he has scored in the last 5 matches he started for Spurs. Competitive matches, of course. Son and Kane rounded things out, but the best part was Dele ripping Aurier in the post-match interview.
To be honest, when he lined up for it, I was a bit like, oh no, not so. Just don't hit it.
Is that the best goal of your career?
It's the only goal, isn't it?
Yes, no.
Of course, Spurs will be playing Chelsea on Tuesday in the Carabao Cup, and that matchup always seems to deliver a good few goals. United got the job done versus Reading, but they certainly didn't look good doing so. Mata opened things with a penalty, and Lukaku scored yet again, his 3rd in 3 matches since Solskjaer has taken over, but like United in general, he didn't look great. His touch is still a problem. At times he looked like he was afraid of taking a touch because of how bad it could go for him, Sort of like after a night out and you're scared to look at your bank balance. That's Lukaku when it comes to controlling the ball these days. He's scared to do it to see what will even happen. But I guess if anything, it showed Solskjaer that these fringe players, some of them aren't good enough and will help him with his selection going forward. Keep Lukaku on the bench. He's most effective there. I'm joking. But he's most effective coming off of it with 25 or 30 minutes to go. Manchester City also smacked up a poor poor lower league side in Rotherham, putting 7 past them, Gundogan assisting 4 of those 7 goals, and this was the first time that City had put 7 past an opponent in the FA Cup since the late 60s. Everton did get a win, but considering it was just a 2-1 win over League 2's Lincoln City, and Everton fielded pretty much their first team and brought on Richarlison and Gomes and Tosun in the second half, you've got to be a little worried if you're an Evertonian. But hey, a win's a win, and they're through, I guess, so they'll be happy. In some regards, but I'm starting to think that maybe Marco Silva just isn't as good as we thought he was. Arsenal coasted to a 3-0 win away to Blackpool, and Chelsea leapt over Nottingham Forest 2-0 thanks to a brace from Alvaro Morata. But things don't look good for him at Chelsea, if body language is anything to read. I mean, I typically don't read too deeply into it, but this guy never cracked a smile, and even after scoring, he still looked depressed. Part of that could be down to this. Hey, I was offside anyways, guys, will be what he says, but it will do nothing for his PTSD and confidence in front of goal, and was a perfect encapsulation of how things have gone for him at Chelsea. Offside, as he always is, and missing a sitter, as he misses sitter after sitter. Once he was subbed, he stormed straight down the tunnel, and I do feel for him sometimes, as it seems as if Willian and Hazard have lost confidence in him and rarely give him the ball, and he's clearly a striker that needs a lot of touches on the ball and to be involved throughout the match in order to thrive. Otherwise, his brain shuts off and he just starts buffering. The biggest worry for Chelsea fans after this performance from Callum Hudson-Odoi, Cho, the thought of potentially losing him to Bayern, who are retooling big time with young talent, what a foolish move that would be. He should be starting ahead of Willian, in my opinion. And finally, for the first time since 1989, 2 top-flight sides have been bounced from the FA Cup by teams from the 4th tier of English football on the same damn day. Oldham and Newport, 2 League 2 teams, were victorious over Fulham and Leicester, respectively. Incredible, man. Leicester are the most confusing team out there right now, as they looked quite shit for a while, then defeated City, Chelsea, and Everton. Fulham, they're terrible. Everyone can beat Fulham, apparently including League 2 sides. Oh, and the final match of the round will be between Wolves and Liverpool. Wolves, another hard team to get a read on these days, while Liverpool, despite losing to City, still looked good in that match, though for some reason I get the vibe that they will have a tough time against Wolves. Could they lose? Maybe. To be determined today. And lastly, guys, let's talk La Liga. So, Real Madrid went and won the Club World Cup, and typically after they do so, they have a tough time getting right back to winning ways in La Liga. Only once have they returned with a win. Well, on Thursday, they made their return versus Villarreal and only got a 2-2 draw. Brace from good old Santi Cazorla there. So, Madrid had a chance to get back on track at home to Real Sociedad, a team who had lost 4 matches straight. And what did Real Madrid do? They proved that this team is pretty done, man. They lost 2-0 at home, Vasquez sent off, a barrage of shots by Real Madrid, but no goals. This team is done, and the evidence of that began last season when they finished 17 points off of first place. But that was all covered up by the fact that Cristiano and the boys were able to drag themselves to another Champions League title. With the departure of Zidane and Ronaldo, I heard so much talk about how Real will thrive now that they aren't focusing their tactics around Ronaldo, and that Ronaldo was holding back Bale and Benzema and causing problems with morale given his selfish personality. There were so many Real Madrid saying that kind of sentiment. And sure, he may be selfish, and sure, they may have been building their tactics around how to best service Ronaldo, but when you have a player like Ronaldo at your disposal, wouldn't you want to utilize him so that he can get you the 50-ish goals that he's worth per season? Since he's left, neither Bale nor Benzema have stepped up to grab matches by the throat and win them for Real Madrid, and Bale is injured for the 1,000,000th time in his Real Madrid career now. He can't be trusted. I truly thought that Benzema was going to be better this year and would step up to the plate, and he has been a lot better, but there's no way that Bale nor Benzema have the capacity to replace Ronaldo. Even combining them, you don't get close. And hopefully, out of respect for Ronaldo, some of the naysayers will recognize just how important he was and how smart it was to build your tactics around him, and the, well, lack of a better word, arrogance of thinking that Ronaldo's departure would bring out the best in the rest of the team. Arrogance or just naivety. Anyways, enough about Real Madrid from me. I want to turn it around to some actual Real Madrid fans now. Let me know what you want to see from Real. I didn't even mention Solari, who is probably culpable as well, as the guy is clearly out of his depth. Madrid's crosstown rivals Atletico went away to their top-of-the-table rivals Sevilla, and with Griezmann continuing his great form, 4 goals in 3 matches, that made for the leveler to Wissam Ben Yedder's goal just minutes before. Ben Yedder, by the way, is quietly one of the most potent strikers in Europe, with 13 goals across all competitions from 19 appearances. The draw meant that Atletico held on to second, 2 points ahead of Sevilla in third. And with Madrid's loss, that meant that Deportivo Alaves and their win over Valencia on Saturday night put them 1 point ahead of Real in the standings in 4th place. Eesh, Real in 5th, Deportivo in 4th. Not how they imagined things going for them at the beginning of this season. From either side, really, I'm sure. But things went about as well as Barcelona thought they would go, as they went away to a tricky Getafe side that's hovering around just outside of the top 6. Getafe had quite a few decent opportunities in this match, never managing to score, down to Ter Stegen standing strong or their own lack of finishing ability. Messi doesn't lack inability of any kind, however, and after scoring the first, Luis Suarez smashed one past Soria. Jaime Mata did peg one back for Getafe, but Barca, despite the tight scoreline, were fairly comfortable in this match, at least as far as dictating the game went, as, like I mentioned, Getafe had some decent opportunities. But Barca still end up 5 points clear at the top, and holy shit, is Messi ever having an incredible season. I think the most worrying thing for Barca fans, or maybe just for fans of Coutinho, is the fact that their record signing can't even get on the pitch. After starting brightly when he signed for Barca a year ago, the opportunities have been limited this season, as Dembele has been ahead of him on the flanks, while Arthur and Rakitic have been ahead of him in the midfield. There's no way he's playing ahead of those two. Hell, even Arturo Vidal is starting to get more playing time than him. No matter the formation that Valverde throws out there, 3-5-2 or their classic 4-3-3, Coutinho is far from the first choice, the 3rd most expensive player of all time, and he can't get a game. Not to mention his former team has gone on to be way better without him. That's gotta be tough for the old mental there. So, Barca fans, hit me with your opinions on Coutinho. What does he need to do to get a game? I guess he needs Dembele and Arthur to stop performing. But other than that, that will be all from old Adrian at Rabona TV this week. As I've said in other videos, you can expect a lot more uploads from me in the future in comparison to the last couple of weeks. I have a player bio coming at you midweek, more career mode, and perhaps some transfer talk. Let's do it. I thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, then a like is always appreciated, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.